Maya pulled into the driveway of her new home, exhausted but relieved. The moving truck had left an hour ago, and now she stood in front of a house that was finally, truly hers. After 20 years of teaching self-defense and running her own dojo, she'd decided to retire early and start a simpler life. Maybe write that book she'd always talked about. Maybe just enjoy her garden without rushing off to teach another class. The neighborhood looked peaceful. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained lawns, and that kind of suburban quiet that makes you think you've made the right choice. She grabbed a box marked kitchen and headed toward her front door, already planning where she'd put her coffee maker. "Excuse me. You there?" Maya turned to see a woman marching across her lawn. Not walking. Marching. The woman wore pressed white pants and a floral blouse that probably cost more than Maya's couch. Her hair was styled in that severe way that screamed, "I need to speak to your manager," and she carried a thick binder under her arm like a weapon. "Hello," Maya said, setting down her box and offering a friendly smile. "I'm Maya, just moving in today." The woman didn't return the smile. She stopped a little too close, invading Maya's personal space in that subtle way that's meant to establish dominance. "Patricia Morrison. I'm the president of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association. We need to go over the rules immediately. Not, 'Welcome to the neighborhood.' Not, 'Nice to meet you.' Just rules." "Oh, sure," Maya said, keeping her tone light. "I read through the HOA documents when I bought the place. Seemed pretty straightforward." Patricia's eyes narrowed slightly. "Reading them and understanding them are two different things. I've lived here for 15 years, and I can assure you that most new residents have no idea what they're getting into." She opened the binder with the flourish of someone revealing evidence in court. Page after page of highlighted rules, annotations, and what looked like a color-coded system that would make a lawyer weep. Patricia began reading them aloud, slowly, as if Maya couldn't read English. Grass must be maintained between 2 and 3 inches in height. Mailboxes must be black, model number MB447 only. Trash bins must not be visible from the street except between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. on collection days. Holiday decorations may only be displayed for exactly 2 weeks before and 1 week after the holiday in question. Maya listened patiently, though she noticed Patricia's tone growing increasingly condescending. Every few sentences, Patricia would pause and look at Maya as if checking whether she was keeping up. "Now, about your car." Patricia glanced at Maya's 10-year-old sedan with obvious distaste. "We don't have specific rules about vehicle age, but we do encourage residents to maintain appearances that reflect the quality of our neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying, don't you?" Maya understood perfectly. Patricia was implying her car wasn't good enough. That she wasn't good enough. "My car runs great," Maya said simply. "Paid off too." Patricia's smile was thin and cold. "Of course, I'm just saying that in neighborhoods like this, people usually drive. Well, you'll figure it out." She flipped to another section. "Now let's discuss front yard landscaping requirements." For the next 20 minutes, Patricia droned on. She criticized the previous owner's plant choices, even though Maya hadn't changed anything yet. She questioned whether Maya had the resources to maintain the property properly. She made it clear that any violations would result in fines starting at $50 and escalating quickly. "I notice you don't have children," Patricia said, though it wasn't really a question. "Good. This is a quiet neighborhood. We don't tolerate excessive noise or disturbances." Maya almost laughed. In her 20 years teaching martial arts, she'd worked with hundreds of kids. She loved their energy and chaos. But something told her not to mention that to Patricia. "I'm planning on a quiet retirement," Maya said truthfully. "Just me, my garden, and maybe working on a book." "A book?" Patricia's eyebrows rose. "What kind of book? You're not planning to run any kind of business from home, are you? Because that's strictly forbidden without board approval, and I can tell you right now, we don't approve home businesses." "Just a personal project," Maya assured her. "Nothing commercial." Patricia snapped the binder shut. "Well, I'll be watching to make sure of that. This neighborhood has standards, and I intend to keep it that way. I've removed 3 families who couldn't meet our expectations. I hope you won't be the 4th. She said it like a threat, like she was proud of driving people out of their homes. Maya felt something shift inside her. In all her years of martial arts training, she'd learned to read people, to see aggression before it turned physical, to recognize bullies who got their power from making others feel small. Patricia Morrison was a bully, pure and simple, just one who used HOA rules instead of fists. But Maya had also learned something else in those years: how to stay calm, how to control her reactions, how to choose her battles wisely. "I appreciate you stopping by," Maya said with genuine politeness. "I'll make sure to follow all the rules." Patricia studied her for a long moment, as if trying to find a crack in Maya's composure. Finding none, she turned on her heel and walked away, calling back over her shoulder, "I'll be checking. Regularly." Maya watched her go, then picked up her box and headed inside. She wasn't worried. She'd faced down much tougher opponents than Patricia Morrison. The difference was those opponents had been honorable. They'd faced her on the mat with respect and rules everyone agreed to follow. Patricia, she suspected, didn't know the meaning of honor, but she'd learn. Maya smiled to herself as she started unpacking. This retirement was already more interesting than she'd expected. The first violation notice appeared on Maya's door 3 days later. She found it taped there when she came back from her morning jog, a bright orange paper that screamed, "Violation," in bold letters. According to Patricia, Maya's grass was 3¼ inches tall. The maximum allowed height was 3 inches. Fine, $50. Maya walked to her backyard and looked at her lawn. It looked perfectly normal. She'd seen the neighbor's grass yesterday, and it was definitely longer than hers, but apparently Patricia had come by with a ruler, for grass. Maya took a photo of the notice and filed it away. She wasn't going to pay a ridiculous fine, but she also wasn't going to let it ruin her day. She mowed the lawn that afternoon, cutting it shorter than necessary. If Patricia wanted to play the measurement game, fine. Maya had patience. The second notice came 4 days later. This time, Patricia claimed Maya's mailbox was faded and didn't meet the required shade of black. Attached was a paint color chart with a tiny circle around one specific shade. Fine. $50. Maya looked at her mailbox. It was black, perfectly black, the same shade as every other mailbox on the street. She took more photos and added the notice to her growing collection. By the end of the second week, Maya had received 5 violation notices. Her recycling bin had been visible from the street for approximately 3 minutes past the allowed time. Her garden hose was the wrong color green. She'd received a package delivery on a Wednesday, and the box had sat on her porch for 2 hours before she got home from errands, which apparently violated some rule about outdoor storage. Each notice came with Patricia's signature in aggressive blue ink, and a reminder that fines would double if not paid within 10 days. Maya started keeping a detailed log. Dates, times, photos of everything. Her years of teaching had taught her the value of documentation. She had a feeling she'd need it. On Saturday morning, Maya was planting tomatoes in her front garden when her neighbor from across the street walked over. The woman was probably in her 60s, with kind eyes and the cautious look of someone about to share a secret. "I'm Linda," she said quietly, glancing around as if Patricia might be hiding in the bushes. "I wanted to welcome you properly, without her around." Maya stood up, brushing dirt from her hands. "Thanks. I appreciate that." Linda sighed. "I saw the notices on your door. She's doing it again." "Again?" "This is what she does. She picks someone, usually new people, and just harasses them until they either give up and move or go crazy trying to fight back." Linda's voice dropped even lower. "The family before you? Lovely couple with 2 kids. Patricia drove them out in 8 months. Before that, a retired veteran. Before that, a young teacher just starting out." Maya felt her jaw tighten. "Why doesn't anyone stop her?" "We've tried. She controls the HOA board. Her and 2 other members who do whatever she says. They vote together on everything. The rest of us are too scared to really push back because she'll just target us next." Linda looked genuinely ashamed. "I know it's cowardly, but I'm a widow on a fixed income. I can't afford to fight her in court, and I can't afford to move. What about the other neighbors? Some have given up and just pay the fines to keep the peace. Some avoid being home when she's around. A few actually moved because of her. Linda touched Maya's arm gently. I'm telling you this because you seem nice, and I'd hate to see her win again. But honestly, most people who fight Patricia end up losing. She's got nothing but time and money, and she's mean enough to use both. Maya thanked Linda for the warning, but inside something was shifting. She'd spent 2 decades teaching people how to stand up for themselves, how to face bullies, how to use strength responsibly. And here was an entire NEI. That afternoon, Maya was writing in her journal when she heard voices outside. She looked out her window to see Patricia standing on the sidewalk with 2 other people, a man and a woman, both carrying clipboards, the HOA board apparently making their rounds. Patricia was pointing at Maya's house, gesturing dramatically. Maya couldn't hear the words, but she could read body language perfectly. Patricia was complaining about something, probably inventing new violations as she spoke. The next morning, Maya found another notice. This one claimed she was running an unauthorized business from her home. The evidence? Someone had seen her carrying a large box inside yesterday. Patricia was investigating and demanded access to inspect her home within 3 days. Maya read the notice twice, feeling her calm exterior crack just a little. The box had been full of her old martial arts gear, trophies, and belts she was finally unpacking. But Patricia had somehow turned it into proof of illegal activity. That evening, Maya attended her first HOA meeting. It was held in the community center, a small room with folding chairs and fluorescent lights that hummed too loudly. About 15 residents showed up, most looking tired or resigned. Patricia sat at the front table like a queen on a throne. When Maya entered, Patricia's eyes lit up with something that looked like satisfaction. Fresh prey. The meeting was exactly what Maya expected. Patricia dominated every discussion, shut down anyone who disagreed with her, and spent 20 minutes talking about a resident 2 streets over who'd painted their shutters the wrong shade of blue. When Patricia opened the floor for new business, Maya stood up. I'd like to discuss the violation process, Maya said calmly. I've received 7 notices in 2 weeks, and I believe several of them are inaccurate. Patricia's smile was sharp. If you'd like to contest a violation, you need to submit a formal written appeal with supporting documentation, pay a $50 processing fee, and wait for the board to review it at next month's meeting. So I have to pay to prove I'm innocent? Those are the rules, which you agreed to follow when you bought your home. Maya looked around the room. Other residents were watching with sympathy but saying nothing. This was Patricia's kingdom, and everyone knew it. I'll submit my appeal, Maya said quietly, sitting back down. Patricia's expression said it all. Another victory. Another new resident learning who was really in charge, but Maya wasn't backing down. She was just getting started. And unlike Patricia's previous targets, Maya had something the others didn't. She knew how to fight, and more importantly, she knew how to win. Maya was in her backyard watering plants when she heard the doorbell ring, then ring again, then someone pounding on the door. She walked around to the front of the house, garden hose still in hand, to find Patricia standing on her porch. But this time Patricia wasn't alone. A man stood beside her, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive polo shirt and the same self-important expression as his wife. We need to inspect your property, Patricia announced without greeting. Now. Maya turned off the hose and set it down carefully. I'm sorry, what? Your property. We're coming in to inspect. Patricia pulled out her phone and showed Maya a photo. Someone reported seeing commercial equipment being moved into your garage. That violates Section 12, Subsection 4 of the HOA bylaws. We have the right to verify compliance. The commercial equipment was Maya's weight bench and heavy bag from her old dojo. She'd finally gotten around to setting up a small workout space in her garage. You need to give 24 hours written notice for any inspection, Maya said calmly. She'd read the bylaws thoroughly after the first violation notice. It's in Section 19. Patricia's face flushed. We don't need notice when there's evidence of ongoing violations. Actually, you do. It's pretty clear in the rules. Listen here. Patricia stepped forward, moving into Maya's personal space the way she had on their first meeting. I don't know what kind of operation you're running in there, but this is my neighborhood, and I won't have people like you bringing down property values. People like you. Maya had heard that phrase before. usually from people who thought they were better than everyone else. "I'm not running any operation," Maya said, keeping her voice level. "I'm setting up a home gym. For personal use, we'll see about that." Patricia moved closer, now just inches from Maya's face. "You're going to let us in right now, or I'm calling the police and reporting you for illegal business activity." Maya didn't step back. She'd faced down people much more intimidating than Patricia Morrison. "Go ahead and call them. I'm happy to talk to the police." That wasn't the response Patricia expected. Her eyes widened slightly, then narrowed with anger. "You think you're smart, don't you? You think you can just move in here and ignore our rules? I've dealt with dozens of people like you, and every single one of them learned the hard way. Mrs. Morrison, I'm following all the rules. You're the one who's not." Patricia's husband shifted uncomfortably. "Come on, honey, maybe we should just schedule a proper inspection." "Shut up, Tom," Patricia snapped without looking at him. She turned back to Maya, her voice rising. "You want to play games? Fine. I'll make your life so miserable you'll be begging to leave. I'll have code enforcement here every week. I'll fine you for every single blade of grass that's out of place. I'll make sure every neighbor knows exactly what kind of person you are." Maya felt something shift in her stance. Not aggressive, just centered. Balanced. The way she'd stood thousands of times before a sparring match. Her voice stayed calm, almost gentle. "I think you should leave now. I'm not going anywhere until you let us in." Patricia reached out and shoved Maya's shoulder hard. It was meant to push her back, to intimidate her, to establish physical dominance the way Patricia had probably done with other people who couldn't or wouldn't fight back. But Maya wasn't other people. The movement was so smooth it looked effortless. Maya simply turned her body, letting Patricia's hand slide past her shoulder. At the same time, she guided Patricia's arm in the direction it was already going, adding just enough momentum to redirect the energy. Patricia stumbled forward off balance, catching herself against the porch railing. It happened in less than a second. Tom gasped. Patricia's mouth opened in shock. Maya hadn't hurt her, hadn't struck her, had barely even touched her. But the message was crystal clear. Pushing Maya around wasn't going to work. Patricia's face went from red to purple. You just assaulted me." "Tom, you saw that. She attacked me." "I didn't touch you," Maya said quietly. "You pushed me, lost your balance, and I stepped aside. That's all that happened. That's not you." Patricia was sputtering now, angry and humiliated in equal measure. "I'm calling the police right now. You're going to jail. I'm suing you for everything you have." "Feel free," Maya said, pointing up at the corner of her porch. "My doorbell camera recorded the whole thing." Patricia froze. Her eyes followed Maya's finger to the small camera she'd apparently never noticed. Tom put a hand on his wife's arm, his voice urgent. "Patricia, we should go." "No. She assaulted me. I want her arrested." "The camera, honey. She has it on camera." Tom was already backing toward the steps. "Come on. We'll handle this differently." Patricia looked between Maya and the camera, her face cycling through anger, shock, and something that might have been fear. She jabbed a finger at Maya. "This isn't over. Not even close. You have no idea who you're dealing with." "I think I do," Maya said softly. Patricia and Tom hurried down the steps and across the lawn. Maya watched them go, noticing curtains moving in windows up and down the street. Half the neighborhood had probably seen the whole thing. She went inside and immediately downloaded the doorbell footage to her computer, then backed it up to the cloud. Sure enough, it showed everything clearly. Patricia entering her space aggressively, Patricia shoving her, Maya simply stepping aside. Her phone rang an hour later. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. When she checked, it was Patricia's voice, shrill and angry, threatening legal action and demanding Maya contact her immediately. Maya saved the voicemail and added it to her growing file of documentation. That evening, Linda knocked on her door, her face worried. "I saw what happened. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. She barely touched me." "Maya, you don't understand. She's going to come after you hard now. She doesn't like losing, and you just embarrassed her in front of the whole street." Linda wrung her hands. "Maybe you should apologize, try to smooth things over." Maya thought about that. Thought about backing down, keeping the peace, being the bigger person by letting Patricia think she'd won. Then she thought about all the families Patricia had driven away, all the neighbors living in fear, all the people who'd given in to a bully because fighting back seemed too hard. "No," Maya said gently. I don't think I will. Linda looked at her for a long moment, then smiled sadly. Well, it was nice knowing you. I give it 2 months before she drives you out. After Linda left, Maya sat down with her laptop and started going through the HOA bylaws line by line. If Patricia wanted a war, Maya was going to fight it the right way. Not with fists or force, but with the one thing Patricia thought she controlled completely: the rules themselves. 2 police officers showed up at Maya's door the next morning. She'd been expecting them. The older officer, a woman with tired eyes, introduced herself as Officer Chen. We got a report about an altercation yesterday. Mind if we ask you a few questions? Of course not. Come in. Maya had the doorbell footage already queued up on her laptop. Would you like to see what actually happened? She showed them the video. Patricia approaching aggressively. Patricia shoving her, Maya simply stepping aside. The officers watched it twice. Officer Chen sighed. Yeah, that's pretty clear. Mrs. Morrison claimed you attacked her, threw her against the railing. Does that look like an attack to you? No, ma'am, it doesn't. The younger officer was shaking his head. Looks like she came at you and you just moved out of the way. Officer Chen was studying Maya now, her expression thoughtful. You moved pretty smoothly there. You have training? Maya hesitated, then nodded. Some. What kind? Self-defense. Martial arts. I used to teach it, actually. Officer Chen's eyebrows went up. Maya Chen, wait, are you the Maya Chen? The one who does the seminars at the academy? Maya felt her stomach sink. She'd been hoping to keep that part of her life private. Used to do them. I retired last year. The younger officer's eyes widened. No way, you're that Maya Chen? My sister took your women's self-defense course 3 years ago. She still talks about it. He looked at his partner. She's like really well known. Trained with the Olympic team and everything. Officer Chen was smiling now. Mrs. Morrison picked a fight with you? That's almost funny. I didn't want any trouble, Maya said. I just want to live quietly. I believe you. But you should know this isn't the first complaint we've gotten about Mrs. Morrison. She calls us a lot. Usually about neighbors she doesn't like. Officer Chen closed her notepad. You're not being charged with anything. The video makes it clear you didn't do anything wrong. But between you and me, be careful. She's persistent. After they left, Maya sat on her couch feeling exposed. She'd moved here for peace and privacy, and now her background was about to become neighborhood gossip. She was right. By that afternoon, her doorbell started ringing. First, it was the young couple from 3 houses down. Is it true you're a karate master? That's so cool. Patricia's been horrible to us, too. She fined us $200 because our Christmas lights were up on December 8th instead of December 10th. Then it was the elderly man from across the street. I looked you up online. You won championships, trained police officers, and Patricia actually tried to push you? He laughed for the first time in what looked like years. I wish I'd seen her face. Then Linda came back, this time with 4 other neighbors. They all squeezed into Maya's living room, looking nervous and hopeful at the same time. We've been talking, Linda said. All of us have stories about Patricia. Unfair fines, harassment, made-up violations. We've been too scared to do anything because she controls the board and we thought fighting back was hopeless. A man named Robert spoke up. But you stood up to her, and she backed down. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen. I didn't really do anything, Maya said. I just didn't let her intimidate me. That's exactly it, Linda said. None of us have done that. We've all just paid the fines or kept quiet or moved away. But maybe if we work together to do what? Remove her from the board. Robert pulled out a folder. I used to be a lawyer before I retired. I've been going through the HOA bylaws. Patricia's been breaking rules for years. She imposes fines without proper votes. She doesn't keep required meeting records. She spent HOA money without authorization. Maya took the folder and started reading. Robert was right. Patricia had been so focused on enforcing petty rules on everyone else that she'd ignored the ones applying to her. Why didn't you bring this up before? Maya asked. Robert looked ashamed. Because I was scared. She threatened to fine me into bankruptcy if I caused trouble, and I believed her. He straightened up. But seeing you stand up to her yesterday, it reminded me that bullies only win when good people do nothing. Over the next week, Maya's living room became an unofficial headquarters. Neighbors brought documentation of Patricia's violations, copies of unfair fines, records of threats, stories of families driven away. Maya organized it all, creating a detailed timeline of Patricia's abuse of power. She wasn't trying to be vindictive. She just believed in facts and evidence. If they were going to challenge Patricia, they needed to do it properly. The breakthrough came when Robert discovered that Patricia had used HOA funds to repave her own driveway, claiming it was a community entrance repair. $5,000 of everyone's money spent on her personal property. "This is fraud," Robert said, his hands shaking with anger. "This isn't just bending rules. This is illegal." Maya called a special community meeting, following the exact procedures outlined in the bylaws. She sent proper notice to every homeowner. She reserved the community center. She did everything by the book. Patricia tried to cancel it, claiming Maya didn't have authority. But the bylaws were clear. Any homeowner could call a special meeting with proper notice and support from 10% of residents. Maya had signatures from 30%. The night of the meeting, the community center was packed, every seat filled, people standing along the walls. Maya had never seen so many neighbors in one place. Patricia sat at the front table, her face a mask of fury. Tom sat beside her, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. Maya stood up, a thick folder in her hands. Her voice was calm and clear. "I'm here tonight to present evidence that our HOA board has violated multiple bylaws and misused community funds. I'm requesting a vote to remove the current board and elect new leadership." Patricia shot to her feet. "You can't do this. I've been president for 8 years. This neighborhood would fall apart without me." "The bylaws say any board member can be removed by a 2/3 vote of homeowners," Maya said. "We're following the exact rules you've always insisted everyone else follow." For the next hour, Maya presented her case. She showed receipts, emails, violation notices that had no board approval. She played recordings of Patricia threatening residents. She showed the evidence of the driveway fraud. The room was silent except for occasional gasps. People who'd thought they were alone in being targeted realized dozens of others had suffered the same treatment. When Maya finished, Patricia tried to defend herself, but her explanations were weak and her anger made her sound guilty. Tom finally put a hand on her arm and whispered something. She sat down, defeated. The vote wasn't even close. 87% voted to remove Patricia from the board. As people filed out, many stopped to thank Maya. Linda hugged her with tears in her eyes. Robert shook her hand for a full minute. Patricia stormed past without a word, Tom trailing behind her apologetically. Maya drove home feeling tired but satisfied. She'd never wanted to be a leader or get involved in neighborhood politics. She just wanted peace. But sometimes peace requires standing up. Sometimes it requires fighting back. And sometimes a bully just needs to learn that not everyone will back down. The next HOA meeting had a completely different feeling. Patricia's chair at the front table sat empty. In her place were 3 newly elected board members, including Maya, who'd reluctantly agreed to serve for 1 year. "I'm not a politician," she'd told Linda when they asked her to run. "I just wanted to garden and write my book." "Exactly why we need you," Linda had replied. "You don't want power. That makes you perfect for the job." The first order of business was dealing with Patricia's mess. She'd refused to hand over HOA documents, claiming they were her personal property. It took a lawyer's letter threatening legal action before boxes of files showed up on the community center doorstep, dumped there in the middle of the night. Maya spent a week sorting through the chaos. Financial records were incomplete. Meeting minutes were missing for entire years. Violation notices had been issued without any board votes, just Patricia's signature and her personal vendetta. But the worst discovery was a notebook, handwritten in Patricia's distinctive script. It was a hit list, literally titled Problem Residents, with names, addresses, and detailed plans for forcing them out. The family with 2 kids, the veteran, the young teacher, all of them had been targeted systematically, with escalating fines and harassment campaigns designed to make their lives unbearable. Maya felt sick reading it. This wasn't just being strict about rules. This was calculated cruelty. She brought the notebook to Robert. "Can we do anything with this?" He read it, his face darkening. "We could pursue civil charges for harassment. Some of these people might have cases for emotional distress, property value losses from forced sales." He looked up at Maya. "But honestly, it would take years and cost everyone a fortune. Sometimes the best revenge is just moving on and doing better." Maya knew he was right. But it still bothered her that Patricia would face no real consequences. The new board got to work fixing things. They reviewed every outstanding violation and dismissed anything that seemed unfair or petty. They refunded fines that had been improperly assessed. They updated the bylaws to include appeals processes and limits on board authority. Within a month, the neighborhood felt different. People actually talked to each other now. Kids played outside without parents worrying about noise complaints. Someone organized a block party, something that hadn't happened in years. Maya started teaching self-defense classes at the community center on Saturday mornings. She'd planned to stay retired. But when Linda mentioned that several neighbors, especially women, wanted to learn how to be more confident after years of being intimidated, Maya couldn't refuse. The classes were small at first, just 5 or 6 people, but word spread. Soon she had 20 students, then 30. Young moms, elderly residents, teenagers, even a few men who admitted they'd felt helpless against Patricia's bullying and wanted to feel stronger. Maya loved it. Not the fighting part, but the transformation she saw in people. The way they stood taller after a few weeks. The way they made eye contact. The way they stopped apologizing for taking up space. It's not really about the physical techniques, she told her students one Saturday. It's about knowing you have the right to defend yourself. To set boundaries. To say no to people who try to push you around. A woman named Jennifer raised her hand. Is that how you stayed so calm with Patricia? I would have been terrified. I was prepared, Maya said. Not because I knew martial arts, but because I knew who I was. Bullies look for people who doubt themselves. When you're confident in your own worth, their tactics don't work as well. But you also knew you could handle yourself physically if you had to, another student pointed out. Maya smiled. True, but I'll tell you a secret. In 20 years of teaching self-defense, I've been in maybe 3 actual physical confrontations. You know why? Because when you carry yourself with confidence, most bullies don't even approach you. They sense you're not an easy target and move on. 3 months after Patricia's removal, Maya was working in her garden when a for sale sign went up in the Morrison house. She wasn't surprised. Patricia had barely been seen since the vote, and when she did appear, neighbors either ignored her or confronted her about past grievances. Tom came over that evening to say goodbye. He looked tired but relieved. I'm sorry about everything, he said. I should have stood up to her years ago. I watched her hurt people and said nothing because it was easier. Where are you going? Maya asked. Divorce, actually. I'm moving to Colorado to be near my daughter. Patricia's going to her sister's place in Florida. He paused. She'll never admit she was wrong, you know. In her mind, you're the villain who destroyed her life. I can live with that. Tom smiled sadly. You're stronger than I ever was. Thank you for doing what I couldn't. After he left, Maya sat on her porch watching the sunset. She thought about all the families Patricia had driven away. The years of fear and stress she'd inflicted on an entire neighborhood. Part of Maya wished there'd been more justice, more accountability. But another part of her, the part shaped by years of martial arts training, understood that sometimes victory isn't about punishment. It's about protection, about standing firm, about showing others they can stand too. The next Saturday, her self-defense class had 40 students. Linda brought homemade cookies. Robert helped set up chairs. The young couple who'd been fined for their Christmas lights brought their teenage daughter, who wanted to learn how to handle bullies at school. Okay, everyone, Maya said, looking around at her neighbors who'd become friends. Today we're going to practice something really important. It's not a kick or a punch. It's how to stand your ground without aggression, how to be firm without being cruel, how to protect yourself while staying true to your values. A hand went up. Is that what you did with Patricia? Maya thought about it. About that moment on her porch when Patricia had shoved her. How easily she could have responded with force. How many times in her career she'd taught people that real strength isn't about hurting others. Yeah, she said. That's exactly what I did. I didn't try to hurt her or humiliate her. I just didn't let her hurt me. And I didn't let her keep hurting all of you. So we won, someone said. Maya smiled. We did better than win. We created something worth protecting. A community where people don't have to be afraid. Where neighbors help each other instead of tearing each other down. That's worth more than any victory over one bully. As the class began, Maya looked around at faces that had been stressed and fearful just months ago, now relaxed and laughing as they practiced together. She'd come here for peace and quiet, for retirement, for a simple life away from responsibility and leadership. Instead, she'd found something better, a community that needed her, neighbors who'd become family, a purpose that mattered. Her garden was thriving. Her book was halfway written. And every Saturday morning, her small community center filled with people learning that they were stronger than they thought. Patricia was gone, but the real victory wasn't her departure. It was what they'd all built in her absence. Not just rules and order, but genuine respect. Not just a neighborhood, but a home. And Maya finally had the peace she'd been looking for. Not the peace of being left alone, but something deeper. The peace of knowing she was exactly where she needed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do, standing firm, standing strong, and teaching others to do the same.